Tippi Hedren has also worked tirelessly to push legislation prohibiting the breeding and private possession of big cats in the United States, and she joins us to share her thoughts on this lifelong passion. Welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Mike. I'm delighted to be here.
So tell us about this love affair. How does it start?
I did 2 films in Africa in 1969 and 1970, back to back. And, so we were there for months. And during those years, it was 1969 and 1970, environmentalists all over the world were telling us, people of the world, that if we didn't do something right then to save the animals in the wild, by the year 2000, they would all be gone. So my husband, being a producer, we thought, let's do a movie about this issue. And we chose the great cat to be our movie stars, which was a lot more than we knew was going to happen. But we chose the big cat because almost everyone is fascinated with them, or scared to death of them, or they want to have them come and live in their houses and so they could tickle their tummies, and which is not a good idea. So we got back to the coast and the script was written, and we handed the scripts out to different trainers of Hollywood, acting like lions and tigers and all of that. And they all came back laughing at us, saying, this can't be done because of instinctual dictates to fight a cat they don't know. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want my cat hurt. Get your own animals to do the movie. Well, that's a romantic notion. And that's how it all started.
Wow. So then, but you weren't going to take no for an answer. So then,
no.
But you learn a lot along the way, don't you? I mean, you know, the tickling, the cuddling, forget that. I mean, they may be cute when they start out, but they get big in a hurry, don't they?
Oh, Mike, you know something? I am spending my life trying to teach people that these are not pets. They are predators. They are psychopaths. They have no conscience gene, they have no remorse gene. Their job out in the wild is to take out the old animals, the sick animals, the lame animals, and that will transfer over to us too. You know, if people come through the preserve and they're in a wheelchair, those cats are right up against the fence. I mean, it is instinctual to them that they have to take you out.
You know what's amazing, and I think a lot of people in this country don't recognize this, was back in the 1990s, I was working at a station in the Midwest, and we did a story about exotic pet owners. That's what they call themselves. Yes. And one of them was Tommy Morrison, the boxer who was in Rocky, a couple of the Rocky movies. And he had these cats and was, playing with them and stuff. But, and it gets back to that same notion, early on they're so cute and cuddly, but then you have this monstrosity. And how many people are out there doing this sort of thing? I mean, it is occurring here in the United States where people think it's perfectly okay.
It's a huge business. In fact, it's U.S. Fish and Wildlife put it on a par with illegal drugs. It's so big. And when things get that big, it becomes dangerous. The bill that I have now, which was introduced in 2013, over a year ago, was in the summer. And, well, I don't know what's going on in Washington, but do any of us know? So
I'm in Washington, I have no idea.
I don't know where it is sitting right now. I'm just praying that it will go through before the end of the year, that it will come to vote. And I just gave you a DVD that I made in the year 2000 about this issue. And I took that out again about 3 weeks ago and said to my legislative assistant, Bill Dow, I said, I think this still works. Unfortunately, nothing has changed.
Jeez,
all of these lions and tigers are still being bred right here in the United States to be sold as a pet or for financial gain, to be in shows and circuses, and it's insidious because people look at these animals and they are so bloody cute when they're little cubs. And they buy them and they know that this animal, if you feed it with a bottle and you take good care of it, and you take a little nap with him and play with him, and that he'll be my friend. Well, that is such bad information, and it's a lie that they don't care about us. As soon as you're Look, as an example, Roy Horn. You know, Siegfried and Roy?
Right,
When he
right.
fell on stage. Montecore, I know, I had met that tiger. And when he fell, when Roy fell, Montecore, in Montecore's brain, in Tiger, he was saying, gee, sorry, Roy, I know you fed me with a bottle. We took little naps together, we played together, we swam together in the pool. You taught me how to be so elegant up on stage, but you're sick and I have to take you out. And he picked Roy up by the neck and whipped him like a rag doll off stage. And, you know, they tried to put a spin on it that the tiger was trying to help Roy. And that is not true. And they should have just said, that's who these animals are. This is what we're dealing with here.
What about the inhumane treatment of the animals by trainers? I know that was a concern of yours early on. Is that still an issue here in Hollywood?
Well, anytime you're making an animal do things that they are not interested in or couldn't care less about or being told what to do. These are independent beings. This is not what they should be doing. I mean, the fact that and in the circuses, how awful is that? That the tricks that they are made to do and the treatment that they have to take in order to do these stupid tricks that they would never do. I mean, you know, we all have a fear of fire, yet they have lions and tigers jumping through hoops of fire.
What about conservation? What do you want our viewers to know about conservation?
I want people to know that no wild animals should be confined. No, none. Leave them to their indigenous areas and fine. You know, and now, you know, when you hear about the big game hunters, they're psychopaths as well, you know. I say a lot of things that I really can get in all
But don't
kinds
get
of
me
trouble
going
with.
there. You're going to get me in trouble.
but you know, they have literally almost wiped out our elephant, our lion, tiger, off the face of the world, out in the wild. And they plan these events, you know. I mean, they even dress for them, and they plan which, you know, rifle they're going to use, and it's so sick. I mean, when you think of looking a beautiful, the largest elephant in the world was killed by this psychopath, and when you think of how do you look that animal in the eye and take it out? How do you do that?
What about hope? I mean, having gone through this and watched, I know it's got to be frustrating for you, but I mean, obviously that what keeps you going, I would think, is the hope that you get the legislation passed, the hope that you can change things. Is it just speaking out? Do you think that that's enough? I mean, what gets you up in the morning?
All of these things, and I'm hoping. I mean, that's all I can do at this point. We're constantly asking people to write letters, and I have letters on our website, you know, that you can copy or, you know, put together, and so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and write to your congressmen and your senators to stop this insanity. And the more people who do that and get their attention, they'll finally say, gee, maybe we better pay attention to this. I know so much about who these animals are, and that there is no hope of them being a pet.
Let me ask you this question, a multiple choice. What's scarier, lion, tiger, Alfred Hitchcock?
Well,
you didn't see that one coming, did you? You don't want to answer, do you?
No, Alfred Hitchcock is the least of the problems, believe me.
But you ever get tired of talking about him? Because people always ask you about
I know that. No, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
I have dichotomous feelings about it because, you know, it was he who brought me into the motion picture business. And it was he who gave me a starring role in The Birds and in Marnie. And it is because of him and that notoriety that I received that I am able to do what I'm doing now. So I'm, you know, it's a dichotomous kind of thing. Unfortunately, the relationship between Hitchcock and me didn't turn out well at all, and I demanded to get out of the contract, and he said, well, no, you can't, because you have your daughter to take care of, and your parents are getting older. And I said, they wouldn't want me to be in a difficult situation. At the end of Marnie, I'm leaving. And he said, well, I'll ruin your career. He kept me under contract, paid me my $600 a week. I got $500 for the birds and $600 for I got a raise.
Jeez. Wow.
And he became obsessed over me, which is, I think if anyone out in the audience has ever had that situation, they understand how horrible it is. And you have to get out, you know.
Well, you did. And here's the interesting thing. I've seen an interview with you and your daughter, Melanie Griffith, another famous Hollywood actress, and she talked about going and seeing the birds and how you put her hands over her face like this when the guy was getting pecked with the bird. So now I'm wondering, who's going to put your hands over your face when you go to see your granddaughter in 50 Shades of Grey? Because now it's got to be the reverse, right? Because I read just a few pages of that, and I was 50 Shades of Red. It's pretty tough stuff, and I think as a grandma, you're probably like, what are you thinking?
I'm a more. That's a very cute segue. That's very brilliant of you. No, I was just saying that Don Johnson and I both have the same feelings about this movie that Dakota Johnson is in, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to see it. I really don't, and yet I haven't read the books. And the morning that it was announced, I guess it was announced the night, it was a Saturday night, because at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, I received a phone call, which didn't hit me right anywhere on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m. have a phone call. And I picked it up, and he said, and it was his slimy voice, kind of, well, Tippi, what do you think of your granddaughter being in this movie? And I said, I haven't read the books. I don't intend on reading them. I love my granddaughter more than my next breath, and I wish the best for her in her life. Click. Nobody ever called me again about how I felt about it.
I asked, but not in necessarily a slimy way, hopefully. So,
no, you didn't.
Well, it's been a gift talking to you. Thanks so much, and thanks for the efforts you're putting into this, because it's really a very important topic, and I can't do much in Washington. I'm there, but no one listens.
Yeah, but your listeners can.
There you go.
Yeah, and just, it doesn't take long to write that email or that letter that says, stop this insanity, not one more. Since the first bill, there have been 13 people killed. I think that's the number, it's either 13 or 16, and almost 100 wounded.
Jeez.
Mauled. Now, senseless. I mean, this is, it's got to stop.
Well, Tippi, unfortunately, this interview does too. But thank you so much for coming in. It's been great fun.
You. Come to Shambhala one day.
I will. Definitely.
You have to.
I will now, for sure.
Okay.
That's it for this week. Join the conversation with us on social media. We are CCTV America on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. All of tonight's interviews can be found online at cctv-america.com. And let us know what you'd like us to take full frame next. Email us at fullframe@cctv-america.com. Until then, I'm Mike Walter in Los Angeles. We'll see you next time.